substitution. It says an algebraic model that can be used to find the exact solution of a system of equations. But when we're talking about substitution, you know what the meaning of it is because a lot of you are athletes. So, River, if we was to say Coach Filmer is going to substitute someone in at the volleyball game, what does that mean?
Like she
Switches
switches someone out.
someone out. What's another way you could say it? Okay. Add something in. So if you add something in for substitution, what do you have to do with what's in? Take it out. So that's what it means. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be replacing, just like you replace a player on the court, the game still continues on and your process is going to continue on. But we're going to be using substitution. So it's replacing one of the variables in one equation with the equivalent algebraic expression from the other equation. It'll make sense as we go through the process on how to do it. So we have these systems of equation here. You have y equals 2x plus 5 and y equals 4x minus 7. So we're going to go through the 5 steps that it takes for you to solve with substitution. And once we get to step 3, it'll look like what you've already been doing in the first and second section. So it says solve one equation for either variable. We're going to, for this note taker, we're going to just solve for y because this is already set up in the slope-intercept form, correct? We have our y, we have our slope, we have our y-intercept. So for this one, we're going to just go ahead and solve for y. But you can solve it for x-intercept. And we'll get into that later in the week where you have to rearrange it. But if it is x equal, you can just substitute for x and solve. So we're going to go through this process of showing how to solve by substitution. So it's just another method. Like graphing was a method, this is another method. Well liked by most students. So, the first thing is to substitute the expression into the other equation. So what you're going to do is you're just going to substitute it in for y. So here we have y equals this equation or expression to the right. Y equals, so we're just going to replace the y with that expression. That's what I mean by that. So go ahead and write that. We're going to put on at step 2. Make sure you're writing it in step 2. So you're going to do 2x plus 5 equals, so all you did is you took this y and you put it here. And then 4x minus 7. We have substituted y for the first expression of y. And make sure you're transferring your signs correctly. You should only be in step 2 box. Step 2 box. Just make sure that we're going together so that we don't jump ahead and miss one of the processes. Okay. Now on step 3, it tells you that we're going to solve the equation. So we're going to, Kaden already did it, we're going to rewrite it. Make sure when you rewrite it, you transfer it correctly. So we're going to write it here, giving ourselves room, we already substituted, giving ourselves room to do our processing. Make sure your minus 7 stays a minus 7. Does this look familiar? Yes, it's what we worked on before. So the only thing you've changed today is just substituting to make it 1. So we get to move to solve for the variable x. We got to get x to one side. What side do we want x on? Julio, you can decide. You want to keep it on the left or you want it on the right? You want it on the right? All right, so we're going to move the coefficient that's what you meant. You said you want it on this side? Okay. right, and we're going to use our strategies that we've used before. We're going to cross out, bring down. We have to work some math because the signs and the number are different. And we're going to bring down. So we're back on what we know how to do. So what comes down, Kaden? 5 comes down. What's next? Italian.
7.
The 7. No, not the 7. We have to bring down.
Oh.
Don't forget your equal.
Sorry.
We have to do math, Julio. 2x, because it's a positive and a negative. 2x, and what's next? Flex. Minus 7. Now Julio wanted to keep the variable to the right, so we have to move something. Justice, what do we have to move that's on the right? The 7. So how do we move the 7, Italian? Not combine. Kaden? Good. Addition property of equality. We're not combining. You combine like terms when they're on the same side. That's when we did that color code. That's correct. Addition property of equality, add 7 to both sides because that's a minus 7. So here we see we have to do some math. We're going to bring down our equal sign, and then these eliminate. So Victoria, what is 5 and 7? 12 equals 2x. Now we still have a variable with the x. How do we move that? That's correct. 2 from both sides. Italia, what do we have now as our value for x? We do this side first. 12 divided by 2. 6 equals x, and we cross, we circle it, so we identify. So now you have the value of x. Circle it, so it stands out. Good, 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 good. Great job. Now we're going to move to step 4. If you see step 4, that's where we're going to see another substitution. So read what it says for step 4. Who wants to read that out loud to the class? Attack.
Substitute the variable of the variable, or substitute the value of the variable into the original equation and solve.
Okay, so you have 2 equations up top. So now that you know that x equals, what was it? 6. You can substitute it into either one at the top. I chose to substitute it into the one with the numbers I like. I like 2 and I like 5. So I know how to double everything and I know how to count by 5 very easily. So I decide I'm going to pick this to substitute it in. You can substitute it for either one. It will still be true. So now you're going to rewrite this equation with 2, the value for 2. And you've done this far before when we did module 3. So we'll keep the y, 2, and then we're going to substitute in the 6 for x. And work the math to solve for y. Work the math, solve for y, and circle it. Circle it. I want you to keep circling it so when you go to pull your answers, it stands out. You don't erase it, that's not correct. Keep going. That's better. Now bring this down. Yeah. Alright, now you have identified your X and your Y, and we talked about solution in the first section. Practice with a marker. Let me give you another one. I'm just gonna write it in this space. Let's go with. Talk each other through the steps as you work it. Do not just give answers. So your two, I'm just gonna put it here so you can put it in your journal. Alright, write it. Use your paper, work through your steps. You have 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Don't we have our table on
Do you what? Work with your, and your table group. Check your steps. Alright, now go to step 4.
I made an order there.
Oh, okay. Where's your other one at? Okay. I see, but I don't see where your Y circle. That's what I don't see your. Oh, okay, okay. You don't have like just negative 2. Okay, that's correct. Let me get the stamp. Oh, I didn't change the stamp this week. Well, a lot of people didn't get it last week, so we're gonna use the same stamp this week. But you need